GM. I hope you're all doing well. Today is Wednesday, which means it is time to ape into another Ape Arcade space. My name is Kaleno. I will be your host for the hour. And first and foremost, Ape Arcade team, how are you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. How are you?
Man, I'm
How's
doing
everything
good.
outside?
I had a little sound problem just before joining. Like my sound plugged on my roadcaster was clicking, which was doing a horrible sound. I had to do a super quick rewiring, but eventually we made it. We are here, so glad that was sorted. We have a super interesting conversation as well today, which is the fate of hyper casual games. We're going to see if they are about to dominate gaming, the Web3 or Web2 landscape. We're going to go over both. So that's going to be a very interesting one. We also have some really cool guests on the panel, so it's going to be a lot of good insights, I'm sure, because I have spoken to pretty much every single one of you here. So I'm going to do a quick round of greetings. EFAS, aka Earth from Another Sun. How are you doing today?
Hello, guys. How's it going? This is Shiv Singh Janeja, the head of BD at EFAS, an MMORPG looter shooter backed and building on Solana. Very excited to be here. I love the spaces that hop into different subsets of Web3 gaming. I'm very excited to share my takes, and I will not let myself do that just yet. Let's get into it.
Awesome. Yeah, always good to have you on stage. I always appreciate your thoughts and insights. So good to have you. Up next, Grid Network. How are you doing?
Hey, doing great. Happy to be here. Excited for the chat. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on the days with some amazing games. So excited to get into it.
Now, thanks to you.
This is, by the way, this is Jack. I'm the CEO co-founder for Grid. So yeah, let's get it going.
Awesome. Now, thanks for joining. As usual, you are much appreciated. Up next, we've got Jules from Seed World Meta. How are you, my man?
Yo, GM. Hi, guys. Jules is here, marketing manager from Citify, event manager from Seed World. Let's cook, guys. Let's cook. Very excited for this topic.
Let's cook indeed. Thanks for joining. And then I think we've said hi to everyone. Yoshi is the same person behind the account, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me just hop on the other one so you could verify.
Yeah, no, all good. You can stay here.
Yo.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Guys, before we get started, in the audience, please give us a little show of support. The best way to do that is by giving this space a like, a retweet, and dropping your questions in the comment section on the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Without further ado, let's get into today's conversation. And Ape or Arcade, as the host of the day, you get the pleasure to receive the first question. But everyone else on the panel, you know me, you know what I'm going to say. If you want to chime in, just put your hand up. I'll come to you right away. It just makes the conversation better and easier for everyone. Otherwise, it is the hot potato treatment where you get an unexpected question when you're maybe picking your nose or checking the charts. But Ape Arcade, for you, I guess you know the let's start broad in this hour, and I think we're gonna kind of niche down further down. So what do you think makes hyper casual games so appealing to the broad audience? And I guess why do you think they have the potential to dominate the gaming industry over the next few years?
Personally, I think hyper-casual games is really where it all started, right? When you look at the ones that really just like made gaming what it is today, yeah, that's like where it really started from. I think that's also the case with Web3 and how people really just get onboarded to the crypto space in general.
Yep, that's fair enough. It is where it all started, so I definitely sort of agree with that as well. I'm going to pass that question to all of you on the panel because I really want to set the foundation for this hour. Up next on my list, right next to me, is EFAS. So, what do you think about hyper casual game and the potential domination they could have on the gaming industry?
Most definitely. So I think it's very interesting whenever we discuss the rise of any subset of Web3 gaming because I think that is very important. I think for Web3 gaming to become what it's going to be, each subset of Web3 gaming is going to see massive upswings at different points in time. And then we will be existing as one cohesive network of games. I think hyper casual gamings bring a massive appeal because of a number of different factors. I think number one, having low barrier to entry, especially in Web3 gaming, is very, very important because we already have so much of the Web3 technology within the gaming interface. Having simple mechanics that anyone can understand is very fun. I also think short play sessions does appeal to a certain subset of gamers in a massive way because if you have brief moments of downtime, you cannot play a super massive MMORPG like ours. Like you can't hop on for like 5-10 minutes and leave. And I think hyper casual games do resolve that. I think another thing which hyper casual games in Web 2 as well as now in Web 3 gaming has almost perfected is that loop of instant gratification, which all players desire on some level. I think within games like ours, which are maybe more expansive or intensive, you need to find those loops more effectively. But a hyper casual game brings feedback loops and rewards in a much, much more viable time for a lot of people with shorter attention spans, which is also very, very good. I also think that if we want to onboard 100 million gamers into Web3 gaming, there's going to be all sorts of people in that subset. It's going to be people that have maximum commitment to grinding that game out for hours, but also people that want a minimum commitment game that is easy to pick up and put down with fun, with incentives, without any consequence in the game itself. And I think hyper casual games do bring that. So I do definitely believe that hyper casual games are going to do very well and have significant market share, but I would not say that they will dominate the industry because I think eventually when Web3 gaming 10 years down the line has way more gamers than it has now, there's going to be subsets of different type of gamers the way we already see in Web2 gaming.
So it's interesting when you talk about the attention span here a little bit. So I want to follow up with another question for you. Do you think that's happening, the rise of hyper casual gaming in general? Do you think it's happening maybe to attention span being shorter? That's one of the big things we always hear about, TikTok being literally having killed the attention span of teenagers and anyone using TikTok. Maybe just people being busier as well in general, right? We're always on the move. So like what do you
Yeah.
think?
Most definitely. I think there's two sides to the average gamer that's going to emerge. It's going to be one, the hardcore committed gamer that wants to invest those hours into the game, that wants to engage in the gameplay for the sake of it and really just grind it out. But there's also going to be people that maybe aren't intrinsically gamers, but want that dopamine hit, want that feedback loop, want those incentives, wherever they enter the ecosystem for. And I think that's where hyper casual games will shine most definitely because it's a mix of everything from short attention spans, having mobile prevalence go so much more for the people that just want to play on the go, people that don't necessarily want to open their PC, dial in, and just want a quick stress relief, have a mental break, or have some fun that they can have alongside incentives. And I think all that is definitely shaping hyper casual games as a genre, which is fit for a massive subset of Web3 gamers.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm kind of on the same opinion here, so I think we agree here. All right, I want to check around with the other speakers. Grid Network, same story. I think you guys, it's quite interesting because I think you're more maybe involved with multiple projects just due to the nature of what you guys are building. So, how are you looking at this hyper casual gaming rise, or maybe even just the gaming platforms that are working well right now?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think EPOS and the other speakers have had really good takes. I mean, we talked about it, but I think we've been developing into this kind of ADHD culture, where these spans are shorter, time, is more precious. So I think that these games, they appeal because we still all seek out, entertainment and escapism, and I think that, is it's a motivation that is really on like the kind of mass appeal spectrum of like looking at this. I think gaming has developed into a very broad spectrum, as you guys kind of talked about, and you have gamers that are looking for a variety of things. So, I think it's really a critically important category. I think that anything in 2023 it represented, mobile games specifically represented like 72% of total video game revenue. And so when you look at like how the space is developing, I think that you have to, especially with us, where we're trying to have our goal is to have the most variety of content and to provide access across all networks and all chains, in as easy as a way as possible. When people ask me, what are we building? We can get into very technical discussions, but our goal, frankly, is just like a user experience, that makes sense, a user experience that is as friction free as possible and providing the most content. So, I think it's really just a very broad spectrum of things, but you have to pay attention to the kind of hyper casual or just the mobile gaming space generally. And I think that really there are a lot of really awesome studios that are also looking at how they can create hyper casual games that feed into their larger ecosystem, so you can kind of get more larger top of the funnel, be more applicable to a wider audience, and then for the people that are looking to dedicate or that are really hardcore gamers, you can have a much more immersive experiences. And I think that just extends IP and branding and is a good strategy. So yeah, I think that it is for us, like, the Telegram network and Ton Games and Ape Arcade, what they're doing, I think is incredible. I think it will, be something that really does finally see a lot of growth coming into the Web3 gaming space. And, but we still, I think crypto blockchain as well has the potential to really build incredibly immersive gaming experiences. And so, there are gamers that seek that want that, and that's a huge category. And what I think really makes this space so great. The last thing I'll say on it, right, is like I think the tools are getting so good for creating games, and with how AI is kind of shaping up. I think we're still kind of far out from it being like an instant creation tool set. But I mean, I've just seen so many crazy, it's not like the best graphics, but like really innovative games. I saw one the other day on, that is great for short form content like TikTok, but it was like a game where you're singing, and like the higher your note, the higher your character kind of rises or falls like in the game. And so like you like sing along to a song, and you have to like basically like try to keep your character from hitting the walls on the top of the bottom. Just like super basic things that are really really cool. And so I think there's going to be a lot of really cool innovation in the mobile space. But I'm really excited for all sorts of games that are going to be developed, in this ecosystem.
Yeah, I find very interesting what you said here about even bigger games. I'm just going to paraphrase roughly, but I think when you say bigger games having maybe those kind of high addiction, super short form kind of game on the side, maybe as in maybe even a Telegram game for a bigger like FPS game, for example. That could be interesting, I think. So there is a lot to think because I think for a company, right, you want audience retention, even if they're not playing the main game, and then they can play a little hyper casual game on the way to work, for example, and you're producing both of those games. Like you keep people in your ecosystem, so I do like that a lot. I see Jules trying to come back on the stage. I'm just accepting you, and then I'm gonna pass it around. Well, actually, that is the last person on the stage right now, so I'm gonna move to my next question. And maybe I will come back to you, a Parkade, and then we'll see what the others think about this, right? But in Web three, one of the big things is the potential to earn money as we play, right? So I think play to earn, play and earn, play to airdrop, whatever you want to call it, is obviously one of the biggest, I guess, selling point of Web three in general. So you guys have some Telegram games. So I think you're a great person to take that question. But how do you think hyper casual fit into the trend of play to earn, play and earn, however you want to call it, with that easy blockchain integration for you, maybe on Telegram? Like, how are you looking at the monetization aspect effectively of your games that you're building? Hey, Parkade, can you hear us?
Yo, could you run me back through what the question was again?
Yeah. So how are you looking at the monetization aspect, maybe both for you and your users in the hyper casual sector with the blockchain integration now easier and better than ever?
Yeah, so with our own backend system, we'll enable fiat on-ramping through our own on-ramping and off-ramping solutions. So that's one way of like pretty much bringing on liquidity, knowing that like our ecosystem is not going to rug you. And for number two, it also allows us to be much more easily able to airdrop pretty much like IDO tokens, if not like co-marketing campaigns as such, to our users. So it's just like the wallet and stuff. Like you guys don't really have to like worry about that, just because of the UI UX that we're trying to create, so that it's like the best experience for the players and users. So this will also tie into like monetization in the sense that it's easier to make in-game purchases if you choose to and if you want to, and it just also proves that you're like a real person.
And it is important to get real people because God knows how many bots we have in our space. I think it is probably one of the bigger issues that we face. All right, Jules, up. You just put your hand up as I was coming to you, so go for it.
I was feeling it. Thanks. Sorry, guys, I got rocked for some reason. So yeah, just my take on the topic. I'm myself actually hardcore gamer and hyper casual gamer as well. I guess it depends on the timing. Uh, so yeah, I play Dota, I play GTA forever. But yeah, sometimes I play hyper casual games for sure. Not gonna lie, this stupid game when you don't have internet, this dinosaur game. I even play that sometime when I don't have internet. So, I mean, will it dominate the gaming market? I mean, it depends from what perspective you look at it. Um, if to look at the player count base, for sure, it will. Just looking at remember, it was that game, Candy Crush. So it got like 500 million users. So if looked at the player count, of course it will dominate. But if looking at the branding and like real IP of the game, then we gotta look at more like serious video games. So yeah, I believe it depends like at what perspective you look, how it will dominate the gaming market itself. But in a Web3 space, I think we already see it with Telegram games. But again, we gotta be careful here not to go back to 2021 with this play to earn scheme. Because remember, in 2021, we just basically, in my opinion, we just basically fucked up the reputation of Web3 gaming. And that's why now it's so difficult to bring Web2 gamers. So I guess we gotta be like really careful here with hyper casual gaming in Web3 space, and not to like create another play to earn scheme.
It's a very good point. I think the trust of the general public is probably what is slowing us back right now, slowing us down, I guess. That 2021, we still have PTSD from it. Let's be honest, right? I still do sometimes. I know I'm not the only one. So we need to regain the trust of the masses, so we can actually get them to come back and not trick them again. Let's not use them as an exit liquidity this time, guys. Okay, I know you're all guilty of that in the audience, in on the panel, but Grid, you put your hand up, so I want to check with you. What's up?
Yeah, I love this take from Jules, and I think it's such an important one to really think about. Not It's very difficult when you're in a startup to you have to very much balance your short term objectives with the even the longer term objectives of what I think we're all in this industry hoping to build, which is different systems that are actually better for the aggregate population of users that kind of enjoy them, and so I totally agree. I mean, I think the last cycle in 2021, unfortunately, like while you had like monetary kind of successes from projects like Axie, and kind of created new models, which I think is I didn't want to like go too hard on them because I think we are in an experimentation phase, and I think they did something fairly innovative, but the long term end results of it, I feel, are that we kind of just walked into the trope that we've been that gamers were afraid of when you talk about adding financial rails that are much stronger into gaming environments, and kind of proved a lot of the gamers' arguments around like, oh, this is just another way to extract more from the gamers. It's not an empowering technology. This isn't building a better gaming future that the industry or the participants in the industry are hoping for, and that's something that I think we all definitely should really keep in value. And I think the coolest thing about gaming and some of the things that we focus on are the fact that when you talk about what value is, that's a big question just really in Web3, and how do we define value, and how do we express that, and how is it measured, and how is it all of these different questions that kind of arise. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate why I got into this is because I think in the gaming space, there are real things that users value, that are outside of just the monetary, how much can I sell this for on the marketplace. You don't you don't play Grand Theft Auto, and you buy a new console. You don't get into these different things because you're like, oh, there's going to be some way that I can make money on them. You get into it because it is it's escapism, it's entertainment, it's things that kind of extend that value question. Like, I care about the IP that's in this game. I care about the stories that they're telling. I care about the characters, and the people value that. And I think we need to be really trying to sell that value basically inside of our games much more than the token price. One of the reasons we created basically our One Pass program is because we want to show the value. I think in this next cycle, we really need to demonstrate the value of this to gamers. We need to think about giving more value away, letting people win. The idea of not dumping on retail, absolutely. You want tons and tons of promoters. You want people that came in and said, I got so much value out of this experience, and they become your advocates outside of the ecosystem. And it kind of, you have to sacrifice some of those short-term potentials. I don't want to see us go back to 2021 where NFTs are costing, $300 or $400 for a game that won't be out for 5 years. Like, that doesn't set expectations correctly. And so, the things that we're trying to do is not only provide a more frictionless experience for accessing these different games, but providing a really kind of like low risk entry point, right? So like the One Pass program, you can think of it kind of like an Xbox Games Pass in Web3, where you can subscribe to a thing for a low price. You can then start collecting exclusive content from all of these different games. And basically, that revenue that we generate on the front end, which we believe can be significant, Xbox Games Pass, for example, generates $3 billion. That pushes back basically, and all of the games inside of our network are the key stakeholders. So we kind of take the black box model out of how games participate. We try to provide that low price point of entry and get people collecting this, caring about the collectibles now. And back to I like to say, Pokemon started by selling $9.99 card packs, and eventually some of those collections are worth a ton of money. But they didn't start by saying Charizard's worth, a brand new Charizard's worth $500 or $1,000. They didn't. They let the market kind of dictate that. So we think that's the right path. And I just wanted to give flowers to Jules. Great take. Sorry for the rant.
No, don't be sorry. It is a great take with loads of value in it. So never be sorry for that. Before I move on, I just want to say we have reached the half-hour mark already. So time is flying, which means let's give the room a quick reset here. If you are enjoying the space, getting any value out of it, just help us spread the message a bit further. Give the space a like, a retweet, and drop any questions you may have in the comment section. All right, maybe Ifas, I'm going to come to you for the next one. I think for me, the potential issue, I don't want to say issue, but I said challenge more for the hyper casual gaming industry is maintaining player engagement, because most of the time it's going to be games that are based on fairly repetitive content, I would say, that changes through maybe levels or skins, etc. But if you check Candy Crush, for example, it's addictive, but there is no change in how the game works from hour 1 to hour 100, right? So how do you think we can work towards maintaining that player engagement over time? How do we create addictive hyper-casual game, I guess, is the simple question.
Most definitely. And I think when you're looking at this, it's very important to understand that Web3 gaming is not most likely going to reinvent the wheel. It's going to come from similar principles to what Web2 gaming has done. And I think that's why it's called hyper casual gaming, where you're going to need to crack things outside of the game loop itself. And that's going to come with maybe thematic differences. You need very regular content updates. You need new levels, characters, themes, whatever it is that can keep the game as fun as possible. You're going to, on some level, need social features, because if you have a gameplay loop that is repetitive in some sort, you're going to need some level of leaderboards or challenges or sharing mechanisms, which allows either an element of collaboration or an element of competition to emerge within the players that are spending their time in this game to want to come back for more. I also think what's worked, at least in my experience when I've played Web2 mobile games, is I think seasonal events are really, really fun. I think whenever there's something which is time limited content, even if you have some like a seasonal event half the time of the year, I think that still has worked very, very well in the past. I think when I look at just personally now, without thinking as a gamer, thinking as a builder, when I look at Web2 mobile games or hyper casual games that I've invested time in the past, it's mostly been something where I've had a call to action where if I don't play this now and I play it 3 days later, I'm not going to get the same reward rate, or I'm not going to have the same output of that time spent. So I'm thinking, all right, I've anyway spent time in this game loop, but now I can do it for more rewards. Let me do that. And I think the fun comes in when you look at Web3 hyper casual gaming with tying incentives into that. So if you can have newer and more fun reward mechanisms, which leverage different Web3 tech to have either if it's something that they own within the game's ecosystem, whether it's something within the game loop itself that you're furthering by having some incentivization, you can branch off a lot. But all that being said, I still do think that there's a certain plateau which needs to be overcome outside the game loop. Whereas in more intensive games such as ours, that might not be as much of an issue. I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and I think you hit a really good point in how Web3 can offer better incentivization here with the the tiered reward system. And that's what we all want. Let's be honest, we all want to make some money. So there is no problem and no shame in that. I think as long as it's ethical, of course, right? All right, let me check maybe with you guys at Ape Arcade as well. Same kind of question. How are you? You have I think 3 games out right now. Correct me if the number is wrong, but how are you looking at this player retention? How are you working towards making those games as addictive as healthily possible?
So at the moment, we have four. Our fifth one's coming out this week, as well as Meme Fighter PvP. So in terms of like making it like fun, enjoyable, and pretty much like the game loops to be such a way and curated from the UI UX standpoint where they keep coming back, it's really just pretty much like a study of psychology, right? So it has a lot of elements to tie into this, especially when you're looking at statistical variables. Like if you go to research a couple of papers, then like there's like very intensive evidence specifically about this. And without giving away like too much alpha, it's really just about making sure that people have like a reason to play in the first place, right?
Interesting. So you are saying you're using psychology effectively to make your game more addictive. Did I understand that correctly?
That's definitely one approach. But realistically, like every single gaming studio should have one.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's one of the many ways, right? Definitely. So yeah, good insight here. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Great. I want to come to you here as a modular gaming solution from the people you've worked with. Like, do you see a rise in microtransactions, and do you think they are going to be one of the big things in the Web3 gaming landscape?
I think if the Web3 landscape shapes up, to be anything like the traditional games industry, then microtransactions have a huge place. And I think in blockchain technology, when you look at like the you could say sustainable business models that exist kind of currently, you might look at right like the larger protocols, and they operate. That's really what I would say, gas fees are just kind of microtransactions for using the network. And, there's a great research report that came out from Binance that talks about, how companies that are building in this space need to focus on real value, blah, blah, blah. And I think like, the protocols kind of have it where like, if you're using the network, you're finding value in using the network, you're finding value in making that transaction. And then you're paying, a microtransaction kind of inside of that. And so, I think that, it has a way of kind of making a business model, feel very, almost, quasi invisible. Like it's like, okay, you're just using this network and you're paying, small fees for that are, that are minor, but overall that can drive some sustainability. And so, like in the gaming space, obviously microtransactions, especially in the mobile world, if we're talking about mobile, is going to be a big category. Casual is going to be a big category. Then the microtransactions are huge. And yes, we EFAS brought up the idea of time-based scarcity, right? And we really, really believe in that as well. And kind of, how we look at it is, that like I talked briefly about like breaking 2021, like NFT cycles. What, I hope becomes like the big meta in the next phase are time-based scarcity, where especially in gaming. So because I think what we should be doing is having millions of smaller transactions, and that could be collecting NFTs, it could be collecting SFTs, so semi-fungible tokens inside of games, and I think that that's definitely the right path forward, because it's something where you can really feel anyone can get in. If it's based off of like participating in a raid, or it's an offer that's up for a couple months and then it goes away, similar to how Fortnite does their live services operations, and now they're talking about bringing some limited items back and different things. But like if you miss a particular skin or you miss a weapon, then you can't really go back and get that, and that creates like, hey, it creates like I should be checked into this. I should I want to pay attention to it, and it's about those intrinsic value things I talked about last time of what we care about. I care about collecting a Darth Vader skin or collecting the Magneto skin or those different things. And if I miss it, then I missed it, you know? But I think what's cool with that is then there can be a secondary marketplace in Web3 where, you know what, if I've had fun playing with my Magneto skin and somebody that missed it, they can go buy it, and they can have fun with that, and I can sell it if I find the value in taking in selling it. So totally believe microtransactions have a big place. I think it also comes into how things come on chain, but I think it like that microtransactions is also a big part of like we need a strong live services engine inside of Web3. And you need to be thinking about those seasons and what you're doing that's special and fun and activating for that time period, because that keeps that engagement and allows the game to evolve, because there's also a point at which people get kind of just burnt out from doing the same stuff all the time. You can't rely on the same gameplay and the same game loops to sustain a game in the long term. So definitely microtransactions will play a big role. I think it also comes into live services and how you're doing that, and also yeah, big proponent for time-based scarcity models for collecting. So yeah, that's my take.
Now, very interesting take, and I personally think I agree with the time-based stuff and all the scarcity, and I also think NFTs, like utility of in-game assets for NFTs, in my opinion, one of the best use case is going to be the seasonal passes, seasonal items, right? Like the Fortnite, for example. I don't know how much you guys know about Fortnite, but I think it was in 2018 they released a NFL skin pack, effectively, and that sold for about $60 million worth of that skin, and it was a time sensitive thing, and that would make so much sense with NFTs to have that rolling in our current model. So yeah, I think that was overall a super good take here. So I appreciate you. All right, let's pass it around as well. I want to make sure I hear everybody. Oh, actually, Joel, I wanted to ask you something. As a user slash player, have you ever spent money on a microtransaction, like in the I was going to say the real world, like in the Web two world, right? I'm asking. And how do you feel about microtransactions if, let's say, the game is free to play, but obviously they need to make money, so you're going to have quite a bit of microtransactions, not necessarily to continue playing, but I guess to get some extra, faster reload of energy or whatever it is, not to make you unfairly stronger, but to allow you to play more or to play faster. Like, how do you feel about the microtransactions in general?
Actually, I did. Yes, guilty. I was tired of grinding, and it was a Ubisoft game actually on the mobile, and I needed like a stronger, like you said, a stronger character. So yeah, I purchased it. Guilty. Not a real gamer. But I'm not fan of it, to be honest, because I would say, well, first of all, hyper casual games to me are more like to kill the time. So I believe it will not work for like real gamers. If we're talking about real gaming and real gaming industry itself, then yeah, um,
Interesting.
I lost the point of what I wanted to say.
I know.
But yeah, I was spending money in microtransactions, but in hyper casual gaming, I don't think it's something worth to spend money on, to be honest.
That's very interesting because, for example, I've got this game. I forgot what it's called, but it's one of those games a bit similar to Candy Crush, effectively, right? Like you only have 5 lives, and if you fail your level 5 times, then you need to wait like 15 minutes, I think, per life. So there is a bit of a time delay. If you're stuck on a 45-minute journey and you fail your 5 lives, then you can't play for the rest of your journey, basically. So I think while I agree with you that technically it's not really necessary in those games to get that pay to continue model, but at the same time, I also think, to me, I've been feeling sometimes like, oh, I want to buy some coins to keep playing those games because I've got an hour on the train right now. So I feel you. I've been there. I've bought I've spent some money, and it's on Apple Pay as well. So I'm just like, damn, I just have a click to do, and I can keep playing. So I see your point, but I also think there is a big demand for it, in my opinion. All right,
It
go for it.
also sorry. It also about addiction as well that Ape Arcade mentioned. It's very important for hyper casual games to be actually addictive. It's like kind of like casino, right? You go there, basically it's the same place, the same people, you do the same thing, but it's addictive as hell. So same for this kind of games. It has to be addictive to be successful, in my opinion.
That's exactly that, right? I mean, like any game in general, right? If it's not addictive, you're just not going to continue playing. But I agree. If you have this addiction thing, and I guess a scarcity because you can't play more than an hour in a row, or whatever, right? I think that's obviously the ideal scenario that every game developer is trying to put together. And if we had the answer, the perfect answer, we probably would all be rich. So I think it's important to remember that it's easier said than done. These kind of things. Now, Ape Arcade, I want to come back to you here with maybe because we're already in the last 15 minutes, so I want to move in into, I guess, the future part as well. I know you guys have a little bit of alpha to drop out today, so I want to make sure I'm giving you enough time for that. And if we have a bit more time left at the end, I have one or two more questions for the panelists. But I heard there is some alpha to be dropped today, Ape Arcade. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so pretty much like Ape Escape is another game that we have incubated. Is going live this week. Same thing with Meme Fighter PvP. So you'll be able to duel your friends with like the Candy Crush like match 3 to 5. So pretty much is like we are enabling like extra time limited quests specifically on its release. And yeah, be sure to check it out.
All right. So, what's the best place to check it out? How is it going to be launched?
So we'll have our browser version soon, like within the this week, if not next week, as well as like the same way that you play it currently via Telegram. So you can have it from Telegram to open a new browser or play it within the Telegram app.
Okay. So, on browser, is that supported on both mobile and desktop?
Yes, yes, indeed.
Sorry, 1 second. As soon as the doorbell rings, my dog is the second doorbell. So, sorry for that extra noise here. Okay. So, and then, so that how many games are you going to have now in total released?
We should be at 6 as
Damn.
of the end of this week.
That's fast production. I like it, man. Cool. All right. Awesome. So make sure you guys check it out. The announcement is coming. So that was the little bit of alpha for you guys today on the in the audience. So yeah, just get ready. And next week we are doing this every week, by the way. So sorry, next week just let us know how you enjoy the game and all the other games that are available for Ape Arcade. Now, since we have some time, I want to come back to you guys on the panel. Maybe Ifas, I want to start with you. So this is now looking into the future. We've done the technical stuff. I want to maybe go into a bit of speculation, and I think there is nothing wrong with that. So, I think it was you that mentioned that you don't think hardcore gaming is going to die. So I think that's sorry about that. I think that's given. That's a given. There is always some people who want to get that deep, immersive experience, long-term experience, right? But do you see like I don't have the stats. If anyone does, that would be great to kind of share it. But do you think we're going to see over time, maybe due to the few things we talked about, like the small, low attention, short attention span, plus people being busy on the go, etc. Do you think hyper casual game is going to grow in market share, should I say, compared to the more complex games?
Great question. So I think if you're speaking purely in terms of the number of users, I think Web2 gaming data trends would suggest that. But I think that being said, Web3 gaming does bring in a bit of difference because of everything that Web3 tech and the incentives bring in. So if I had to speculate as to what I see the state of Web3 gaming with all its subsets a decade or two from now, I'd say first of all, we're definitely going to have coexistence between the different game types because there are going to be the need for different audiences, different gaming styles, which I think everything from the most hyper casual to the most complex games will support. I also think on some level that we're going to see some maybe call it hybridization of maybe mid-casual games which blend both. Because I think once Web3 technology is actually actively used, and we haven't even seen the full scope of UGC tools yet. I think once we have thousands of gamers understanding that they can make solid revenue of creating within game ecosystems, we could see extremely hyper casual game loops within complex games. And if the technology exists, complex game loops within what were initially hyper casual games. So I think there is going to be a lot of pivoting and blending between the sectors. But again, that's just my speculation. And I think the final factor that chimes into that is technological advancement itself. I think if we just look at our gaming ecosystem with where AI was 5 years ago, we could not have foreseen the level of smart NPCs we have right now, the scope of progression mechanics that we're seeing within the game. That's why I do 100% believe that as tech advances further, we don't know. What if the way AI has boomed, we see a massive VR boom, which changes gaming in some other ways? So I think the tech side leaves a massive room for the speculation to be uncertain. But that being said, one thing I would like to say I'm certain on is the coexistence of these sectors, because there will always be different player types wanting different styles of games.
Yeah, I think you raised many great points here, especially I guess around AI and potentially VR. I think you're quite bullish from another space we were on together. I know you're quite bullish on VR in general, but I also think to me what's interesting, and I'll be keen to hear your thoughts on that. But I think the as we go further and further in terms of technological advancements, it seems like games are becoming cheaper to produce, and also we are getting better and better, either laptops, consoles, or phones as well. Like the iPhone 16, what is it now, 15 or 16? Like the next iPhone basically is going to be more powerful than probably iPhone 5, 6, 7, 8 combined, right? So do you think like the combination of all this means we're also going to get better and better and better games on mobile? Because right now there are still limitations on the mobile sector, but I think at some point we're going to see exactly what we have available on mobile, if that makes sense.
Most definitely. I think there's already technologies that are planning for that. I've been on like I think three calls that I can remember this year for people trying to build exactly that. People building 5 years ahead, trying to have mobile almost interoperability for the most complex UI and UXs which are on PC. So I think that is definitely something we are going to see yet. I think today the technology definitely isn't there to support a complex MMORPG on a mobile phone and optimize the gaming experience. But that being said, I think the fact that there are builders already building in that direction will maybe take us there. Just adding into that, I think there are going to be a few things which are going to be important first, which is important to understand that when you have a game which in and of itself is complex, you can only simplify onboarding so much. And I think the current state of mobile gaming, whether you're talking about Web 2 or Web 3, focuses on a very, very simplified onboarding experience. Whereas certain MMORPGs like ours have elements that will only appeal to hardcore gamers when they first enter the ecosystem. So I think there is going to be some sort of compromise on one side, which will maybe make that loop into taking complex games into the mobile phone. But then again, I wish I was a fortune teller with technology. I'd make a lot of insights and money.
I wish you were, because then I would also make a lot of money out of that. But yeah, the future seems bright. I agree. I think that's kind of like the underlying thing we want to say here. We've got some hands up. I don't know who put it first, so I'm sorry. I'm just gonna go to Grid first because I think last of you two was Jules speaking. So Grid, go for it, and then Jules next.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, right? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've seen that as well all over the course. Like, it's not just in the last couple of years, right? As the tech has gotten better, I think games have gotten more advanced. I think that we've also, like in a lot of like in the last like 15 years, we might have, seen like plateaus, when it comes to like, okay, for a long time, it's just how good can you make the graphics? How realistic can you make the game environments? And we've kind of gotten to a point, you have some things like the body cam games, but once it almost becomes too real, it also kind of can be, unappealing for a lot of users. Like, I don't know if I really want to go through and watch, somebody get shot for real. And so, I think that what I'm excited about a lot of this technology is the pace at which innovation can come, at the depth that a game can basically achieve, kind of using these things. But I think basically what we're going, definitely everything kind of moves in a path towards the path of least resistance. So the less friction, the less like kind of time requirements, the less like, basically you need like that's why mobile gaming has surged so much, especially like outside of, say, the US, where people might only have a mobile phone and they might not, really be able to go do those things. But you're enabling kind of these other participants in the market at a lower price points, just lower access, and it increases the total pool of people, and that will absolutely be the way that this kind of continues. I think it'll be really interesting to see. I think Ape Arcade is going to be a really interesting project and model of like, hey, we can rapidly ship kind of a lot of different games and kind of keep people engaged in those different ways. I think that is appealing to a huge selection of people that are out there that kind of want those kind of hyper casual experiences. But of course, I think what's so great about gaming is that it will always be the spectrum. You will always have those people that love it and want to go into deeper, more expansive worlds, like EFAS. And I think anything that can help provide more access, easier access to more people, and with less kind of requirements of the actual hardware, things like cloud gaming, that are continuing to grow. These things are all beneficial. I think that we probably will at one point, in the future, have the right high speed internet, the right kind of technical devices and mobiles to power more expansive games inside. But I don't think that really changes the fact that there are different needs and different, basically desires that these different game categories are serving, right? Just because you can access this expansive, MMORPG inside, on your phone, and it's a great experience and all those things, doesn't mean that you have the time for it, or you have the, you even desire to kind of dig in and do 60 hours plus in a game. And so, yeah, I think that, we will continue to see access get better, tech get better. But I don't see that, game categories will change. The point of like, like the graphics thing, chained together, the graphics were horrible. It looked like a, PS2, maybe a PS1 game, but they created a really unique, fun mechanic that was viral that got people into it. And so, I think all these categories will still exist. But yeah, the access will continue to improve. The tech will continue to get better, as well.
Yeah, I love when you refer to cloud gaming because I don't know if it was on a space where we're together, we talked about that. And I think it's one of those big stumbling blocks for full mass adoption everywhere in the world just with an internet connection. There are some limitations with our current level of internet and all that stuff, but it's one of those things I'm personally super bullish on. Jules, I know you have your hand up, so I want to check with you. You're probably going to be the last take of the day, but you go for it.
Yeah, just wanted to share some idea. So at Citify, because it's a gaming launchpad, so I actually meet gaming projects like every single day. And what I already see, some projects, they actually build the game for PC first, for like gaming PC, and they also build another version as a hyper casual game on Telegram or just for mobile. It doesn't have to be like exactly the same game, but related to your like main game. I think this is very smart idea because, as we have mentioned before, mobile games or Telegram games, they actually break the barrier for the gamers who don't have access to gaming PC or just simple PC even. And also it's very good from the marketing perspective. It's very good idea in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think once again, this is what we talked about. Like, how can you keep people in your ecosystem, whether they're playing on console, on PC, on mobile? That is the ultimate goal. Is for someone to just use your products as many hours as you can during the day. So totally agree with that take. All right, hey Parkades, I think we are about to wrap up today's space. So first of all, I want to thank everyone in the audience. You took an hour of your day and decided to spend it with us. So we genuinely appreciate you. That means the world. And then obviously all the panelists, fantastic discussion. It just flew by. So I really appreciate you all. And last but not least, hey Parkade, I know you've spelled some alpha earlier, but I will give you the closing words. Anything you want to say to the audience, the panels, the mic is your, 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 the mic